Good morning. Welcome in. Hello, Olive and Pal Diane and Joanne. Welcome in. Sorry, I'm running a little late today. How's everyone this Thursday? Tired. Yeah, I feel you on that one, Joanne. That's partly why I'm running late. I had a hard time falling asleep last night, and so then I was restless all night. And so when my alarm went off, of course, I hit snooze instead of getting out of bed. So I'm running a little late. Welcome in. Hey, Faye West. How are you this morning? Let's see. Ooh, 2 in 1 week. Yes, I always do this twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. You were snoozing too? Yeah, I definitely did not want to get out of bed. Well, and it's hard this time of year when it's starting to get cooler, because it just feels good to stay in bed because it's chillier and it's warm in your bed. You don't want to get out. So, yep, every Tuesday and Thursday morning, I am on How's Tara this morning. All right. So, today, let's talk about. I just am hearing ripples of everybody being frustrated. Shows are slow right now for the most part. I think the fact that the federal government can't get their act together, all the rest of us are expected to get along, make compromises, work together, and our own politicians can't manage to get a federal budget put together. So, because of that, I think a lot of people are even more anxious about the economy. And we've got a lot of federal, yeah, we're all expected to show up to work, right? The a lot of federal employees are on furlough or going without pay for until they get this figured out. And so it just makes people even more uneasy. So, yeah. And I'm not taking any sides. I think the whole bunch of them just need to grow up and do what needs to take place. So, um, well, yeah, all the politicians are still getting paid, right? But a lot of federal workers aren't. So, not fair exactly. So yeah, I just think, on top of the economy being rocky, interest rates are still high, housing's still high, food's still high, gas is a little bit lower, but still not, historically still kind of in the higher area. And so it's just tough right now. So everybody's feeling it. So my best advice, honestly, is just chill. Just chill. Do what you have to do. um, do longer shows, um, sell things that you can sell cheaper, um, or just do the bare minimum until things get, yeah, just keep swimming. Exactly. What do you do with coupons that are sent? So someone sent you a coupon code to use in a show. Is that what you mean? Or you want to be able to send? Oh, okay. So if they sent you one, you just go into their show and then you tap on the wallet that is on your screen. See that little wallet symbol? And then in your wallet, you can add that coupon code and then it will apply to the next purchase. If you set up coupon codes, then you need to make sure they are valid in the next X number of shows for whatever period of time you said it would be valid. So, like if you send someone a coupon code in their order on like you write a little note or have a little printed card that you send with their invoice in the order, then you need to make sure that coupon code has an expiration date. So maybe you send it the beginning of the month and you tell them it will expire at the end of the next month or something. But then that code needs to be active on all of your applicable shows until that date. Because coupon codes are a one-time use, um, only valid in the shows that you set them up in. They have to be attached to the show. So that's how coupons work. And they're you go to Seller Hub Marketing, there's a drop down for coupons where you can set them up. And you just give it a name, tell it whether you want it to be a dollar amount off or a percent off, and then attach it to the shows that you want it to be in. Welcome in. Hey, Carrie Kate. Can any seller set up a rewards club? When you're brand new, no, you have to wait until you meet the minimum requirements. Wish you could do free shipping coupons. Yeah, that would be nice. The way to get around that is to do a free shipping giveaway. And you just run it at the beginning of the show, tell everyone what it is, don't enter if you're not buying, so that someone who is going to buy can take advantage of the free shipping. Yeah, you know how that works. Yeah. But yes, I would like a coupon as well. That would be nice. But yeah, the rewards program, let me just look and see. I can't remember what the minimum requirements are. Does anyone know for the rewards program? When they set it up, what the minimum, let's see, let me just look. Minimum requirements for, I should have that memorized because I get asked that every once in a while. And if someone knows before I can get to it, let's see, you have to have completed 50 orders and earned at least $1,000. So it's really not that, it's not that high. Oh, and a rating of 4.7 or higher and no active offenses. So, once you've completed 50 orders, sold at least $1,000, and been on for 30 days. So no, it also says that. So I'll have to take a screenshot of that and remember to put it in my notes somewhere. So when people ask, I will know what to say. That's a good idea. Let me see if I can figure out how to take a screenshot on this iPad. That's a whole different ballgame. That was not the right thing. Anyway, I will add that. That's a good idea to add that requirement. Does anyone want me to repeat that? So I just locked myself out. So different settings, but you can change it after you set it up till the next quarter. Yes. So every quarter is a new rewards club. The next one starts December 1st, the next season. So September, October, November. So the next one just starts in December. And you just they have analytics attached to it so that you can, go and look to see how it performed for you and who, how many people you had using it. Because you want to do something that's an incentive enough that people will appreciate using it, and it will encourage them to buy more, but not too much that it's costing you too much to participate. So you kind of have to figure that out. And they have the analytics in there that can help you basically figure that out because they tell you, what your average sale is, how many people bought from you, how many items you sell per show, all that kind of stuff. And you can, set it up that way. Oh, you sent me a picture? Okay, let me look. Let's see. In my messages. I don't see any messages from you. Oh, did you send it to someone else, not me? Sorry. I was reading it as if you sent it to me. So gotcha. Oh, take a picture with your other tablet or phone. Oh, yeah, I would, except for this one, I don't have it pulled up. I pulled it up on the iPad and I don't, this is an older iPad. I guess I don't know how to do screenshots. Oh, you sent it again? Okay, let me see. Let's see if it came through. There we go. Oh, yeah, if I zoom that in, I don't know if it'll it's too blurry. Yeah, it's too blurry. So I'll take a screenshot on my other phone and put it in as one of my little things that I share in the auction tab one of these days so that I'll remember. Yeah, it's a little bit too blurry when I zoom in. So this is, like I said, this iPad's a little bit older, so it's kind of clunky, but I like having it just because I have the bigger screen to read off of when I'm doing this chat. And then I have this other Android phone that I also use so that when I'm going on the iPad doing other things, I can still read the chat. So kind of gets complicated when you're trying to help people because you've got to have multiple devices to do things with. So, yeah. All right. Anyone have questions? Just put them in the chat with a question mark so it shows up in bold. And then I'll be able to get to it. So, welcome in. Welcome in. So, happy Thursday. Trying to think. Oh, so I noticed that I think Whatnot seller account canceled or moved the update show they were going to do either yesterday or today. Or no, I think it was scheduled on the 8th because that's what's in my memory. So they must have moved it. And y'all know some of the nasty crap that's going on in the news that's putting us in the spotlight. That probably also is not helping sales. Because we had a big seller who sold in the shoe category who got raided and arrested during a live stream. And I don't know anything about them. I've never shopped their show, but apparently they're under investigation for buying and selling fake, which is not cool. But I don't know, benefit of the doubt. We are innocent until proven guilty. I don't know, but that can't be helping because they were a huge seller. Yeah. Yeah. If Nicole State didn't take us down, I agree. I think we'll survive, right? But it just doesn't help, with attracting new buyers. When you see something like that in the news, people might be like, oh, I was going to download that app, but that sounds sketchy, right? So if they see that in the news, and maybe it won't be out in the mainstream media just because we tend to see stuff like that pop up in our feed because we are on Whatnot. Maybe it's not, I'm definitely sure it got in the news locally in California, but maybe not nationwide will, I don't know. You know, I haven't seen it on national news, but I'm not a news junkie either. So, good morning. What goes around? How are you today? So yeah, just a lot of things going on that can negatively affect um, our ability to have sales going well right now. So yeah, I'm tired. I didn't get a good night's sleep. I was late getting started this morning. That kind of sets you off, right? But it's all good. It's all good. Attitude is half the battle, you know? So if you just get up and keep on going, it's going to be better. Hey, reptile guy. How does the customer choose local pickup on their end when it's offered? So they have to go in to their settings in their wallet and opt in because it'll show them across the bottom of the screen local pickup available. And then they actually have to go in and say that they want to do it. So I think you click in your wallet and then say that you want to opt in for local pickup. But you also have to have it turned on. So as a seller, if you don't have the option for local pickup turned on, it won't even offer it to them because you're stating I don't want to bother with that. And so yeah, it only even offers it if you have it turned on and if they're in your local area within the I honestly I'm not sure what the criteria is in my state. It seems to be the whole state that they can opt in for local pickup, but maybe it's like 100-mile, 200-mile radius. I don't know. So, but it will show up on their screen when they're in your show, and then they have to go in their wallet and click that they're willing to go pick it up instead of have it shipped. Hey, Colbert, how are you today? Welcome in. So, yeah, that's how it works. I wish take a nap. That sounds amazing. I'm terrible with napping though, because once I'm up for the day, unless I am absolutely wiped out, if I fall asleep, that's it. I'm done. So I can't nap unless I'm like done for the day, basically. So yeah, I'm just not a good napper. So, because I know lots of people that can take a little cat nap and, 15, 20 minutes and be up and be like, I'm refreshed. Nope. If I fall asleep, I'm done. You know, I'm just like, okay. I need your envelope shipping guide. Absolutely. Let me pin that. I need to redo this one. It's kind of boring, but it does the trick. So just click, I just pinned it. Just click the picture and click it again to make it big on your screen and then take a screenshot. But here's the three main things with envelope shipping. You've got to turn it on in your shipping settings. And you've got to make sure it's turned on in the shows that you want to use it in. So if you just want to be able to use it from now on, go change it in your main profile shipping settings. And then down at the bottom before you hit save, there's a little box that you need to check that says update to existing shows. And then it will turn it on in all your shows. Okay. And then when you want to use it, the listing that you create, either the giveaway or the listing, needs to be in the category of stickers or trading cards. Those two, stickers or trading cards, one of those two. No other category will allow you to use envelope. Okay. And then the third thing is your shipping weight needs to be 0 to 1 ounce. It can be up to 3 ounces, but you're safer just putting 0 to 1, and then it will automatically calculate it as 1 ounce. And you're just shipping it, and it will give you the lower cost. And on the back end, if it happens to be slightly over 1 ounce, you can up the weight, and it will just adjust it as needed up to 3 ounces. But don't do the lower weight if you're intending on sending stuff that is bigger and, regularly. But here, the other criteria is it can't be valued more than $20. It can't be more than a 1/4 inch thick. It can't be lumpy, bumpy. It has to be flat. It has to go in a paper envelope. It cannot be like a poly mailer or anything made of plastic, because it's got to go through their machines, because they have these sorting machines that scan the address and sort the mail automatically, and it's made for paper. So those are the criteria. That's all in that thing I just pinned. So just take a screenshot and yeah, make sure you do those 3 things. Turn it on in all shows. Use sticker or trading card as your category. 0 to 1 ounce as your shipping weight. Okay. Yeah. You tape it all around. Yeah. Don't get too happy on the tape, because it can get caught up in their machines. Hey, Wuzzle, how are you? How's life? What's going on? Yeah, don't get too happy with the tape, because it can get jammed up in their machines. I know, Wuzzle. How is Wuzzle? Let's see. Paw's boys, welcome in. You've been on hiatus. I know, I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing okay. Hope life's treating you good. Or if life's not treating you good, sometimes you're surviving and you have a good attitude about it. That's sometimes more important than what life actually brings, right? We're staying on top, having faith that brighter days are ahead, right? Lots of church activities. Well, that's good. That's awesome. B Square Designs, welcome in. B Squared Designs. There we go. All right. So, what's everyone else got going on with sales, with shows? Can anyone bookmark my mom's show? Yes, absolutely. Everybody bookmark Amy's knee 51200. So let me click it and see if I can get it to pull up. Here we go. Let me get her followed. View profile. So Amy has a show tomorrow at 2. So the first thing I'm going to say, Colbert, is what? Tell her to get more shows scheduled, because part of the reason she's not getting a lot of people coming back is because if she's only scheduling 1 show at a time, how are they going to find her again the next time? So you need to have more than 1 show. Yeah, okay. So that's key number 1, right? She's in the right category. It is a category that is going to be a slower, because people who buy in that category, it's kind of like casual, laid back. It's not heavy hitting, and yeah, so get another show on there. And I got that bookmarked. Everyone give her a bookmark, please. You've been trying to tell her, yeah. So Wuzzle says, last week I was given an opportunity to give a sermon at a local church as a guest speaker. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's got to make you feel good. I hope that went well. So, nice. She gets a little overwhelmed with the tech stuff, but I'm trying to help her. Yeah, it's a learning curve. But if she can get 1 scheduled, she can schedule more, right? Show her how to do more than 1 at a time on there when she scheduled the first one. Because if she has if she knows she can go live every Friday at 10 or whatever, she can just schedule 10 of those out. And then she just has a set schedule when she knows she's going to go live. Advice on bringing in customers. Good titles, good thumbnails, and network like crazy. Go into other people's shows, interact with the chat. Don't be spammy, but when you have the opportunity, because a lot of sellers will say, okay, well, we're running this giveaway, share your shows, or who else is a seller? So network like crazy in the category you sell in. Do some raid trains. Raid trains make a huge difference when you're newer. And there's a couple of Facebook groups that are just for whatnot raid trains, and people can advertise raid trains they have. Go find one of those Facebook groups to learn about raid trains, and also just go into the For You page and type in raid train and pull up all the shows that are raid trains in your category that you want to sell in. And but I would also suggest trying to get into ones that are cross category, that are just whoever, because that brings in a lot of people that could be introduced to you, who didn't even know your category existed or you existed. And then just reach out to the organizers of the raid train and find out when you can participate. Okay. Also, play around with times, because I'm noticing that there are quite a few people that have mentioned if you can do some late night shows, people are having a decent amount of success going on late night because you have a more captive audience, because there's less people doing shows, and a certain amount of people either work night shifts and they're on, or they are insomniacs, or other things, and you have a more captive audience. So try a couple of late night shows, see if that works. You got to experiment. And then also, the main things are just, you've got to have fun. You've got to be showing that you enjoy what you're doing, you're passionate about what you're doing, and your shows are fun and inviting, and people want to stay. So do that little experiment I tell people to do. Go find 10 shows, just random, pick 10 shows you've never been in, you don't know anything about them. Go into their shows, and you can even put your setting on private entry so they don't even see you come in if you want. And then you have a piece of paper and you write down, why did I want to stay? Why did I want to leave? Those two things. If you wanted to stay, write down why. If you wanted to leave, write down why. And do that for 10 different shows and get some feedback about what do I need to switch it up to make my shows more fun, to be on the list of why did I want to stay. Okay. Yeah. So what goes around in Colbert? I also just spontaneously start a show. I'm terrible with scheduling. Oh yeah. Um, pop-up shows are fine, but don't expect the pre, you know, the anticipation, the pre, scheduled boost that you normally get with something that you already had a lot of bookmarks on, and et cetera, et cetera. But if you can opportunistically do pop-ups, and what do I mean by that? You pick a time where you just look and you go, oh, this is a good time. There's only 3 other shows, or one other show in my category. Or, well, right now that's probably only at 2 in the morning. But you know what I'm saying? Pick an opportunistic time and pop on, because it happens to be a good time where not as many shows are live that you're competing with. So, yeah. Time zones are different. Try and capture, times where you get. So what goes around said, I had a 2 a.m. show. I sold more of that show than any other. There you go. See? So try that if you can do it. I don't know if I could do it. I'll be honest, because I'm definitely a morning person. And once I hit, that time of evening where I'm tired, I would probably have to go get an adrenaline shot to keep going. So, but yeah. Yeah, you guys are usually on later. So if you're used to that, and you're a lot younger than I am, so that helps. I'm in that category now where it's like, oh my gosh, where it's like the senior citizens who eat dinner at 3 and are in bed by 7 and are up by 4. I'm not really, but it's close. Yeah, but you guys are still, 20 and 10 years behind me, so in age. So, yeah. And I'm younger than Bert, so that's the other problem too, because Bert's got 7 years on me, and so if I'm working around his schedule, then it's even worse. He's kind of a night owl though, so he'd probably do okay with late night shows. All right, let's see. Karen says, I just had to block a fabric seller because she called the buyers idiots because they weren't bidding her stuff up high enough. Oh, that's very sad. Yeah, that's not cool. Um, she's the idiot if she wasn't putting her price high enough for what she wanted to sell it at. If you can't afford to sell it for X starting bid, then don't start it at that price. Start it at the price that you want to sell it for, period. And you honestly shouldn't be on this app selling if that's your attitude. So, and I know, I get it. It's frustrating sometimes if shows aren't going well. But here's the other key, just don't run it. If your show's not going well, don't run the stuff that you don't want to sell for the price things are selling for. Pick the stuff that you aren't as excited about, that you didn't pay as much for, etc., etc. Right? Because it's not their fault that no one is, or not enough people are there bidding it up. It's not their fault that you're running it. Just don't run it. Yeah. And that will come back to bite them. Everyone has a bad day and maybe they're just having a bad day. Give them grace. I don't know. But, it's not cool to do that. It's not cool to do that. Hey, that's Stitch and Witch. Welcome in. How are you today? How's everybody's day going on Thursday? We're almost to Friday. That's the other thing about getting older. It's like time always flies, right? But the older I get, the faster it flies, which seems ridiculous because, you move slower. Oh, your app keeps crashing like right now, or it has been recently crashing. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? So just today it's been crashing. Oh, maybe they're doing some updates. I really wasn't on much yesterday. It was our day off and we were running lots of errands and doing some stuff, and I just really wasn't on that much. So, oh, you're at work. It could be the internet. Well, if you're at work, it's probably because they're trying to block you. That dang, you know, system that's trying to keep you from doing this instead of what you're supposed to be doing, right? Yeah. What's it called? That word is not coming to my mind. The thing they put into systems to try and prevent you from going to certain websites or going outside of their system or whatever. There's a term for it, but I can't think of it right now. Firewall. That's what I was trying to think of. I just thought of it. Firewall. Yep. All right. Any other types of things? Oh, you run the server. Well, there you go. Whatnot is top of the list of places you can go then. um, what are some other things people need to learn how to do or what to do? I'm often interested in finding out that a lot of people just don't even know about a lot of features. And when I was in a recent chat, we were talking about the new the new seller experience now versus what it was when I joined. When I joined, you actually had to prove your worthiness, so to speak. um, and so nowadays, they're pretty much letting everybody in, and they're not forcing people to have to go through a new seller. Um, like we used to have to go through a little tutorial thing and take a little quiz and stuff like that. So, what goes around? Can I ship a fat quarter in a regular envelope? I would say no, because once you fold it up, it's a little bit too thick and it's going to be too lumpy, because it would be hard to get it to stay completely flat. I do send like a fat eighth size piece, and I do send little squares of fabric. But if you've been in my shows, I give away those little bookmark kits. So it's 3 little squares of fabric, a piece of interfacing, and then the instructions. And I put the squares inside the paper instructions. And so it ships flat. And I use an A4 envelope that measures 7.5 by 5.5, which is still, within the guidelines for size. So it's a greeting card size envelope. And it's a half sheet of paper folded in half with the little fabric squares inside of it. So that's what I've typically done, is little squares. So, and then I give them the instructions to make those cute little bookmarks. So yeah. But a fat quarter is a little bit too thick and a little bit too lumpy bumpy. So yeah. Can you import an item from your inventory while running a show? Yes. Although it's a little bit clunky if you're doing it on the camera phone, because then you're going to be right in everybody's face. If you have a second device or you're doing it on web, it's a lot smoother. So you just, click the add button and then import from inventory and go find it. So yeah, you can do that. Or you can even just have a different window up, go into your inventory, find the item, and then add it to the show. It takes a second. There's a little, 1 or 2 second delay for it to show up. But yes, you can do either of those. Yeah. And let's see. Has anyone had their listings for certain weights disappear during the live show? This has happened to me a few times now, then I have to add it back. Probably you ran out of units. How many units have you been putting on there? Because I always put the max, which is 1,000, and then your chances of running out midstream. Yeah, I would put 1,000. I mean, because if it's a listing you use over and over and over, just put 1,000. You're less likely to run out of units, because it'll disappear if you sell it out. So that, I'm guessing that's what happens. If not, then I don't know. That would be a glitch. Is there any way to have an item start from a different number other than 1? You know what? There used to be, but I think they removed that. Because I remember in my brain that you used to be able to, when you created a setting or a listing, you could tell it to start from a different number, but I think they took that off when they updated some other stuff. So I think right now it just always starts at 1. no matter how many units you have. The first item you sell in a show under that listing is one. So, yeah. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I do recall that there used to be that ability, and I think that disappeared. Hey, Endless Treasures, Jenny, how are you? Oh, you're not selling it out. So yeah, so I would double check and see, because that's kind of fishy to me that it's just disappearing. So take maybe do a what's called, do you know how to do a screen record? Do a screen record on one of your next shows, and if it happens, you'll have a recording of that, and then you can send that to customer service, because it may be a glitch, because that shouldn't be happening if you didn't sell it out. Karen says, yes, thank you for all your support. I try to catch you as often as I can and watch your YouTube. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your support. And I'm glad it is helpful to you. Welcome in, Tippy Canoe. And yeah, if anyone needs to go to my YouTube account, it's in the show notes. There's a little like shouting face head thing emoji in there, and my YouTube address is Draz on Whatnot. I'm not like a huge YouTuber, so you usually need to type it in with the ampersand. So type at Draz on Whatnot, and then you'll find it, because you'll see that the logo is the same logo I have on Whatnot. And then you'll be able to find it that way. And if you go to my lives, you can watch past shows. Sometimes there's a delay getting them loaded. Like I'm supposed to be multicasting and live on there, but the multicasting live streams have been really glitchy lately. I just think with the exponential growth Whatnot is having, the bandwidth to keep everything running is like mind blowing. And so some things just aren't clicking like they used to. And I think that's one of them. But the lives that I do on Whatnot are stored in the lives on YouTube. So you go in, instead of videos or shorts, it's under lives. And so there's, all my, and I do go in occasionally and clean it up and remove selling shows, and it's mostly my seller chats, walk and talks, and other seller chats in there. Oh, you got up early to hit an estate sale. Well, that's a good day, right? Out treasure hunting. That's my favorite kind of day. A little bit too much favorite kind of day. Oh, thank you for your purchase. Joyful Living says, yes, it's frustrating. It holds up the show. So how do you screen record? If you're on iPhone, it's in your swipe down settings, the little swipe down from the upper right corner to turn your flashlight on. It's in that group of settings. So you just go click it on before you start your show, and it'll screen record the whole show, and you can go watch to see. You can then clip out that little section of when it happened. And you could also do that in because you can view your show as well, but it would be kind of hard to find it that way. So either way, but if you can screen record it, that it happened, then it will help them to see it happening, and they can try and fix it. So yeah, but make sure that it's not something you're doing, running out of units, or maybe you're just confused about the inventory and the order it's in. If you have a ton of listings, it's hard to find listings, and I'm guessing that's not the case. It sounds like, you've checked all those boxes. So, before you send it, just, double check and make sure. But yeah, there are some screwy things going on with a lot of the updates they're doing and things they're trying to get fixed. And yeah, it gets a little bit messy. I would definitely not want to be a programmer for Whatnot right now. I'd be pulling my hair out trying to keep up. And they have to try and program for web version, Android, and iOS all at the same time. What a nightmare, you know? So, not my cup of tea for sure. But then again, some people who love to program, they're probably like salivating to go to work every day because they love programming and fixing those things and figuring things out. And thank goodness we have people that love that. So, yeah. Welcome in Auburn Moon and her Girl Friday, Joyful Living. I've been talking to you. Anyone else have any comments or questions they want to talk about? When you're in my shows, the auction tab in my shop. So if you click the shop and then navigate to the auction tab instead of the buy it now tab, all those 14 documents are in there for you guys to screenshot. So I just share all kinds of tips and tricks and cheat sheets and whatever. So all of those go through the auction tab while I'm chatting and get screenshots of anything you need, because you can just tap the pictures and tap it again and it'll bring it up big on your screen. Some of them have multiple pages, some don't. So yeah, go through and find the ones that will be helpful to you and screenshot them all. The shipping ones, if you're having shipping issues or trying to figure out shipping, probably this one is the best one. And then go watch my live show on YouTube that's called Don't Sink Your Shipping. So have this document and watch that show. It just goes through the basics of how to set up your shipping settings depending on what you sell. Because really, shipping is based on what you sell. How you're running your show, what format you're doing, how much you're going to sell, how big, how little, how easy to pack, how not easy to pack, etc. So shipping is really has to be based on what you sell and the volume you sell at. So if you need help figuring that out, use this document and go watch that. Don't Sink Your Shipping on my lives on YouTube. Welcome in, Seasoned Thrifters and Janol. I probably said that wrong. And Teresa, welcome in. So if you have any questions, put them in chat with a question mark. Feel free to shout out shows, network with each other, bookmark each other's shows, whatever you need to do. And honestly, yeah, one of the biggest things you can do to help get people in your shows is to network like crazy. That means going in to everybody else's shows in your category and just interact, buy a few things here and there, give a few tips, and just be part of the show without being spammy. And don't do the just don't interrupt someone's show and say, "Hey, I'm new. I have a show on Tuesday at 10. Can everyone please book me?" Don't do that. It's against terms of service. But if someone allows the opportunity while they're live, like during a lot of sellers will during a giveaway or something. Okay, anyone who wants to share their show, or is there anyone who's a seller that would like to promote? Okay, then you can do it. Okay, but networking. What goes around says, I'll be having a garage sale auction. It's a bunch of glass. Some things might need 2 boxes. Do I have to pay the shipping for the second box? So like an item that has 2 parts that would have to be shipped separately. Is that what you mean? Like a lamp and the shade separate or something like that? Is that what you're thinking? So let me think how you would do that. I would say yes. If you sell it as one item and then even if you have it set for one per box, if you end up having to send it in two boxes, then yeah, you're going to have to pay the second box, because there's no way that I know of, unless you sell the shade separate from the lamp, for you to be able to charge separate shipping. So if you have a show where you're charging per box, you set up a custom profile and each item is separate shipping. So I guess you could sell the shade separate from the lamp, but then you risk having that person not buy the shade, or someone else buying the shade, and then they're separated. So you might want to think about not selling those items in your show that have to be that way. Maybe those need to be sold on, a local pickup, off, on Marketplace or something. Or possibly, you can, if you can find a box that you pre-pack the whole thing in, and then just custom list it already with the size and weight and everything. If they're willing to pay the shipping for it, then it's already a done deal. You know what I mean? So you already find the box, know how it has to be packed, put the dimensions and the weight in there as a custom profile. And then if they're willing to pay the shipping, then it will sell with that already paid the way it has to be sent. That makes sense. Okay. So, but yeah, it's really not, I don't know, here and really any platform. It's tough right now because shipping rates are astronomical on any shipping service for big bulky items. So most people avoid selling those types of items online because it's just people don't want to pay the shipping. If it's something that's really, really valuable, they might be willing to. If they're spending $500 on some amazing vase, and then the shipping's going to be $200, if they really want it, they'll pay it. You just have to decide. So if it's a lower cost item and the shipping is going to be more than the item it sells for, most people won't go for it. Does that make sense? So yeah. And yes, for a show like that, you need to take the reduced shipping off, because you can't, otherwise every item you sell, they would only pay the $9.21 once, and you would be paying the shipping on everything else that they buy. So yeah, exactly. Yep. Welcome in, Day Shop and Tamara Bear a Market. Grace Harlot, welcome in. Hey, Desert Threads, how are you? That was a good question. It made your brain smoky. Yeah. I was actually thinking through this morning a scenario for allowing, I was trying to figure out if you had a show where you figured out how much. I was thinking about this for flannel, because flannel's kind of bulky. And I was thinking, what if you did a show where you allow people to buy, you figure out how many yards of flannel will fit in a large flat rate box, and then you sell, you only have one item for sale, which is a large flat rate box, and then they get to pick, like you have the bolts all there numbered, and they get to pick, okay, I want 1 yard of this, 2 yards of this, whatever. And, it would have to be a slower paced show because you're allowing people to buy the box and then hand pick the yards that they want in it. And then you just, put a sticky note in the box with their name on it and with the bolt numbers they wanted and how many yards of each up to whatever max fits in there. You've squeezed 18 yards. Holy crap. Yeah, I probably have too if I think about it. Yeah, because if you fold it up just right to the dimensions of the box, which I've shown you guys how to do, right? Where you take a large flat rate box, flip it over, and then you just stack your fabric right on top of the box so that it's, stacked perfectly to the size of the box. And then you slide it into a bag, that a good bag. It's got to be a decent bag that you can put the air out of. And then you either sit on it or suck the air out or whatever. And you can fit a lot of fabric in a box that way. Yeah, fleece, I avoid fleece. Honestly, I just don't sell it because, a couple of yards of fleece fill the whole box. So, yeah, you're going to have to do that. I would limit, you might sell fleece tonight. Yeah, I would limit the amount you offer for sale and consider, sometimes if you sell flannel and fleece, do it as a separate show and just, just know that you're going to have to use some of your adjustments if someone buys a ton. That's another thing. So, and maybe don't offer reduced shipping if you can't afford to. So, yeah, because fleece is just tough. It's too bulky. Even if you suck all the air out, it's still pretty bulky. Yeah, you'll send it one way or the other. Yeah. But, if someone bought like 30 yards of fleece, you're going to have to do a lot of figuring out how you're going to get it shipped. So, yeah. So, yeah, I just kind of avoid it because I don't want to. A, it doesn't really sell well for me when I have sold it in the past. And B, it's just hard to ship. So, yeah. Yeah, you would definitely have to figure out what to do if someone bought 30 yards. So, but yeah, I just don't get, I mean, every once in a while, I'll have someone say, come in my show and ask, do you have fleece? And, you know, I just don't get a lot of requests for it. And maybe that's just because people have grown accustomed to the fact that nobody is selling it on here. But I kind of think a lot of people, well, it's also very seasonal, Now that Joann's is gone, though, I think we probably will get more requests for it. Just because there's not a good local source anymore. So we'll see how that goes. So, because that's where everybody went. You got your 40% off coupon and walked down to, or, drove over to Joann's and bought the fleece for the blankets or jackets or whatever you wanted to make. And now, I don't know where people are going to get it. Because most fabric store quilt shops don't have fleece. They'll have flannel, but they typically don't have fleece. And I've been here. I haven't even checked out my local Michaels, but everyone's telling me their fabric selection sucks. Like they really don't have that much. And I don't think Hobby Lobby carries fleece either. So, yeah, I don't know where people are getting it. Yeah. You get a lot of fleece. So are you buying it wholesale? Because where are you getting it? Or did you buy out a lot from Joann's? Because I know fleece is a lot of fun to work with. And people love it for winter, to make those easy to tie blankets or the little jackets or scarves or hats and stuff like that. And it's super easy to sew. The thing that I cannot sew with, you cannot convince me that I can sew with, is Minky. I love Minky, but if you want me to sew with it, I think I would rather die. So you did buy wholesale Joann's and one source that supplies you. Yeah. So yeah, as long as you can, get a decent price for it to offset your shipping, That's the only thing, you've got to have. I know I love Minky too, but you can't pay me to sew with it. It's just not fun. And maybe I just don't have the right machines. Probably it's because I don't have the patience. That's probably the key right there. Because I'm one of those sewists that if I can't make it in half an hour or less, I don't do it. So, and I don't quilt right now because I just don't have the time or patience. So, yeah, $8 a half yard is pretty good. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. But I got the coolest piece of Minky the other day, though, and I don't typically pick it up, but I'm like, someone's gonna want this. It's so cool. So I'll pull it out one of these times. Yeah, I need immediate gratification. Yeah, it's like I like to make those little boxy baskets that I make. Minky is that super soft, like almost like a fake fur, but not as long, and it feels like heaven. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just so plush and fluffy, but the way that they manufacture it when you sew with it, the edges, the little tufts come loose in little chunks. And so you're breathing in Minky and it gets everywhere and it's super slippery to sew. So it's just, yeah, it's super messy, but it's super soft. You make miniature quilts. Oh, there you go. But see, that you can do a little bit at a time, and it's small, and it's not like, it doesn't take up half the house. That I could probably handle because I would just do a little bit at a time and have this smaller project. I think I could handle that. Yeah. So, yeah. Welcome in everybody that's joining. Read the show notes. If you need help with seller stuff, ask away, put a question mark in so I can see it, or so I don't miss it. And the auction tab has all kinds of tips and trick sheets that you can screenshot if you need help with anything. 8-inch seams and tiny pieces. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely do. You do mostly hand stitching, or are you doing it on the machine? I used to make Barbie doll clothes, you guys. When my daughter, so on the machine, when my daughter was younger, she really wasn't into dolls that much, but she loved Barbie. And I had a bunch of old vintage Barbie doll patterns from my childhood, and we sat and made Barbie doll clothes. And I used to make them for my nieces and nephews. Not nephews as much, nieces. But yeah, talk about tiny seams. Yeah. Yeah, every time you make one, I say, why do I do this to myself? Yeah, but the results are so rewarding. Here's my mantra about miniature. If you take something and you look at it and it's absolutely the cutest thing you've ever seen, and then you miniaturize it, it's 1,000 times cuter. Why is that? Right? Why do we love mini things? It's so funny. Yeah. Oh, there used to be a magazine just for miniature quilts. Wow. That's fun. I don't know. I think it's the mindset of it's like if you can actually make this smaller, it's even better. It's like this mind trick. Like I knew this guy once who had um the entire Bible on I don't even know how he did it. He used like some kind of microscope, and he had um, put the entire Bible on a document that was so small that you had to like sit and open it up and then increase the size to read it. But he was so proud of himself because he miniaturized the entire Bible on paper. And I was like, why? But anyway, yeah. Oh, you made a few of their quilts, and one of them was on the color. The picture of the miniature being held by a woman was upside down. Oh, wow. That's funny. On the cover, they screwed it up. That's funny. So, not too bad if you line everything on Barbie clothes. Let's see, line everything. Oh, yeah. If you have to line the clothing, oh my gosh, forget it. Forget it. I don't know if I could do that. So, yeah, but that's kind of I also like miniature food. I have this thing about like, if you go into a restaurant and they have like one of those sampler appetizer platters where everything's miniaturized, I'm like, I'll take that for my meal because it's like mini sliders, mini um pizzas, mini whatever. I'm like, that's cool. They get me with the mini sampler. I don't know. It's kind of funny. Yes, mini egg rolls. Maybe it's the mentality of you're not eating as much because it's smaller. LOL, right? So, welcome in, Carol Swift. How are you today? How's everyone today? Everyone just needs to kind of take a deep breath, stay positive. I know a lot of things are tough right now in the world. Tough in your homes, tough in your neighborhoods, tough in your towns, tough in our country. Um, and I think people need to remember. I think so many of us are so tied up on communicating with other people, through technology, that we need to reset and go outside and talk to our neighbors, talk to the people that we actually, in reality, live around, get to know people, and remember that people actually have more in common than they don't. Everybody's just trying to survive, everybody's just trying to live life. And we have much more in common than we have in difference. And if people would do that hard reset of, okay, let's get to know the people I actually live close to who are real to me, and, you know, find out that we actually have a lot more in common. When you get to know people and actually talk to them and hear their life story, you realize that we all are much more alike than we are different. And yeah, everybody needs to start doing that more, because the whole, dividing everybody up thing for political reasons is just creating nightmares on every aspect of life, honestly. So, okay, I went too deep on that, right? Everyone's like, whoa. But it's true. It's true. Yeah, I agree. Civil war is afoot if we don't. Um, and honestly, I mean, like all of you guys, everybody is different, and that's great. Being different is great. But when it all comes down to the nitty gritty, we're all just trying to do the same things. We want what's best for our families and for our lives. We want to be able to afford to put food on the table, a roof over our heads, and have health to do the things we want to do. And those basic things are the same for everybody, and we want people to be healthy and happy, and we don't want people to be sick and on the streets and on drugs and all those other negative things. And so we all have all those things in common, and we need to focus on all that instead of everyone trying to point out all the differences. So yeah. Yeah, most big cities are a hot mess. You know, Chicago's a hot mess. Seattle's a hot mess. Los Angeles is already like beyond a hot mess, you know? And it's sad. It doesn't have to be that way. People need to come together and, and I really think it's going to have to come down to local people making a difference. You know, if everybody will start doing what they can in their own local communities to make it better, not just how you vote, but what you do, what your actions are. Your actions show that you give a crap, right? So your husband is Chicago police and was pepper sprayed by ICE. Wow, that doesn't even make sense, right? What the heck? You know? So everybody just needs to kind of calm down, reset, and let's start working together instead of against each other. So, yeah, kind of doesn't make sense. I know a lot of us do. A lot of us retreat to whatnot or other social media platforms to try and escape reality, right? But that's part of the problem is we're not outliving reality and making it better. We're hiding in unreality, right? So that's part of the problem. Yes, let's just sing We Are the World and hold hands. I wish that would fix it, right? So Endless Treasures, Jenny says, my mom was the mayor of our city, and she always said local politics is the best way to make a difference. Yes, because that's where you live. You have almost zero control over what's going on in other cities, other countries. But what you can do is, make sure that the people running your town, your city, are the people who are going to make it better. So you vote locally, and then you go out and are active in your schools, in your community, in your churches, in everything that's in your local community. And then one community at a time, everything starts getting better. But yeah. Yeah, honestly, yeah, politics is local. So Janole says, I'm on our township board, and what happens locally is what affects your day-to-day life. Yes, absolutely. So if you're not participating in your local ongoings, then it's hard to, you really just need to get to know your neighbors, get to know the people where you live, and make a difference in your neighborhood, your town. And that's the best thing you can do. And honestly, it also comes down to families. And family just means whoever are connected with, whoever you live with, whoever your core people are, that's your family, right? And if everyone would work on fixing family, everything would start getting better. Because a lot of people's problems stem from poor environments when they are being raised, and not, lack of, good teachings for becoming a law abiding good citizen, to put it simply. If you don't have the structure to help you grow and learn how to support yourself and be a productive person, then we've got all these adults now who don't know how to function in the world, and it's a mess. It's a mess. And there's a lot of mental health problems because of all of that crap too. But there's also some other things. So, but anyway, do what you can locally, change your world in the little world that you really live in. So that's my best advice. And you do that by being active in your local community, churches, organizations, schools, all of the stuff that is right around you, your neighborhood, and try to make a difference there so that things improve. All right, what can I help you with on Whatnot now? Now that I've solved all the world's problems, what can I actually help you with on Whatnot? What does everyone need to know to help you sell, help you grow, help you achieve what your goal is to be here on Whatnot? No, not Draz for president. No, thank you. um, what who is here new trying to figure out how to sell? I always tell everybody before you ever have your first show, you should have a goal. What's my goal? Why am I here? Why do I want to sell on Whatnot? And write it down. And maybe your goal is simply, I'm already here buying crap. I just need money to, to afford my spending habit. So I'm going to sell a little bit so that I can afford to buy the things I want. Maybe that's your goal. Maybe your goal is I need a significant side gig that gets me X amount of money a month to pay my bills. Maybe your goal is, I want this to be, half my income. Maybe your goal is 6 months from now, I want to quit my job. I hate it. And I want to be on full time on Whatnot, reselling. What's your goal? Because whatever you're trying to do on here needs to match what your goal is. If you don't have a goal, I'll be honest with you, you're just going to flounder. Because it'll be kind of like sticking your finger in the wind. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, right? So have a goal. And it can change. Maybe you start doing stuff and it's going really well. And then you decide instead of this amount of money a month, I want to make this amount of money a month. Or I'm thinking about quitting my job. Okay. Endless Treasure Jenny says, I'm not new anymore, but I have such a hard time switching price category on the fly. What do you mean by that? So switching price and category. So like deciding what to sell something at or just the manual actually doing it when you're selling. Is it possible to clone listings from old shows? Yes. So that I can help you with. So you go into Seller Hub, shows, past shows. And then and this needs to be on web version. So on the laptop or a PC. So go into, there's other ways you can clone things over, but the easiest is on the web version. So Seller Hub, shows, past shows. Pick the show from the past on the list that you want to clone things from. And you can see right on the line item, there's a button for clone. And then it pulls up another screen. You put the show in a drop down that you want to clone your things to. So the show already has to be scheduled. And then you can select all, and it only will show items that didn't sell. Or you can go through and hand pick each item. There's a little checkbox next to each item. And then you go down to the bottom of the page and hit clone. And it just dumps all those listings right into the new show. Okay. So the other way to do it on mobile, you have to go out to your inventory. And so you go Seller Hub, inventory, and then you have to individually load the items. by clicking each item and adding it to a show. So yeah. So like if you want to drop the price per item while you're selling, so when you go to run the item, right before you hit start, you just change the price. So you just do, click the item. So let me show you. Well, let me run one that's for $1. So this item in my auction tab, attracting and keeping buyers, I have it set for $1, right? And normally you would be lowering the price, right? But if I start auction, right before I start, we have the field for an amount. So if I want to change it to $2 when I run it, I just put 2 in there and run it. See how that's now running for $2 instead of $1? Oh, you feel like it takes so long. Are you doing it on your mobile device or on your web version? As I do it on web version on the computer, on the laptop, I feel like that works better to run a show. However, lately, there's been a huge lag of, if you're using multiple devices, there's a huge lag between the mobile device, streaming device, and the web version, and it's driving me crazy. It didn't used to be that bad. So, yeah, I just think the bandwidth is struggling with the amount of sellers we have live right now. So, yeah. Do I have a good tripod recommendation? Mine is frustrating. I have 2 different tripods, and honestly, my favorite one is one that I've had for probably 35 years. It's an old one I bought when we first had an old video camera that weighs like 5 pounds. And so it's really sturdy. So it was one that was made for video cameras, but it has an attachment that I can just, I bought a little attachment that screws into the little hole, which is the little screw hole for cameras. And it has a phone clip on it. So I just screw it into that little hole. So maybe try and find a tripod that was made for cameras, not for phones. Because the ones they make now for phones are pretty chintzy. And that's the other one that I have. It's functional, but it's pretty, it's not very heavy. It's not very heavy duty. You tap it, it wiggles, it falls over, so I get you on that. Because the one that I've been using in my shows is that heavy duty one. The one I have right now next to the treadmill is the chintzy one, but I just have it stationary right there. I don't have to touch the screen hardly ever. And so it does the job. But yeah, I would search for one that's more sturdy. Maybe even try and find a vintage one that's older that was made for video cameras or something. Because I get you on that. All right, let's see. Oh, you see it now. Okay, good. So you figured that out. Awesome. Yeah, you're running off your web version. Jenny is running off web version. Yeah, there is a big lag. And that's probably why you're feeling that way. It didn't used to be so bad. You may want to try, if you have an older cell phone that you haven't gotten rid of that can still function on Wi-Fi, maybe try, it can't be too old because you've got to be able to download the app, but you might be able to hold that and run it from that mobile device instead of web when you're running the items, and it'll go a little bit faster. So yeah. If you run the show off the iPad and stream from your phone, do you not see the video on the iPad? Yeah, you don't. See how this is the iPad and you don't see the live stream, you don't see the video. But on this Android phone, so would be a good example of an older phone. So we had this Android phone when we first started selling, and we've been using it as the mod phone, and it's actually logged in under my husband's account. But if you had something like that, that's not too old, that you could download the app and then use it to run the show, hold it in your hand, maybe get a little, hand clip that holds it, and then run it from there. You see the stream, you see the items. You just don't have all the extra tools that you have on web, but you could also use web for other things. So that's an idea. Try that maybe. So yeah, those chintzy little tripod stands just really are not very sturdy. So I would try and find a more sturdy one. Hey, Cats Lover, welcome in. And Curated Outpost, welcome in. Thanks for joining, everyone. So read my show notes, and then in my auction tab are all my little cheat sheets that you can just copy if you're needing help as a new seller. Ask questions with a question mark, and I can try and help you or guide you to where to go to find things. And I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday mornings. I walk on my treadmill while I chat with you guys. And then a couple of times a month, I do in person, in front of the camera, community support shows. My next one is on the 15th. Make sure you have that one bookmarked. The topic that we're talking about this month is attracting and keeping buyers in your show. So we're going to kind of go over that, ad nauseum, and talk in depth about it. A good homework thing to do before you come to that show is my little experiment where you go out and find 10 or more shows that you've never been in before. And you just go in the show, have a piece of paper and a pencil or your phone to take notes or whatever, and write down, why did I want to stay? Why did I want to leave? Because when you go into a show for the first time, usually within the first 10 seconds whether or not you're going to want to stick around, right? But you need to write down why. Okay, write down why you wanted to leave. Okay, and then after you've done that experiment, look at what you wrote down and figure out, am I doing this? Am I doing that? What am I doing? What do I need to do differently so that people want to stay in my show? And be bluntly honest with yourself, because get your own self completely out of your mind when you do this experiment. Put yourself in the mind of a buyer only. You're a buyer. You're going into these 10 shows and you're just simply going in and writing down, and choose people you've never been in. Because if you've been in their show before, that's too biased. You already know why you like to be there or don't like to be there, right? So it's got to be someone you've never been to. Okay. And then write down, why did I want to stay? Or why did I want to leave? And it will give you some really good deep thinking about what you need to switch up in your own shows. And then maybe here's a good idea. It's a painful idea, but after you've done that for 10 or more shows, then go rewatch one of your own shows from a buyer's perspective, because you just did that experiment, right? And write down, why did I want to leave? Why did I want to stay? That's going to give you some really good insight about what you need to do differently if you're having a hard time getting people in your shows and getting them to stay. Okay. There's always other factors, time of day of the week, what you're selling, if you're making your shows fun or not, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that homework's going to give you answers to a lot of those things. So do it. And just talking it through, I'm thinking, man, I probably need to do that myself. Because it doesn't hurt even seasoned sellers when there's a dip. What have you gotten lazy about? What aren't you doing to keep people coming back? Because you get lazy and just have certain expectations, and if things dip, maybe you're not being as diligent about the things that you need to be doing to keep people in your shows, right? So yeah, all that. Do that experiment before that show on the 15th. So let me show you that one on my schedule. So on it's this one right here on the 15th. So have that bookmarked. And yeah, we'll go over all of those strategies to try and help everybody kind of figure out what they need to do to, get more people in their shows and get them to get them to stick around. And it's not an easy one size fits all answer, because it just all depends on what category you sell in and a lot of other factors. But there's definitely things that you can do to make it better. Always room for improvement, right? Hey, curated outpost, how are you today? So yeah, that's your concern. Yeah. So let's, do a deep dive with me on the 15th and do some of that homework. I would love it if a lot of people would do that and come into the show prepared with the things they discovered, and maybe even give some feedback of what you switched up the next show and did it make a difference. And then I'll have a lot of other tips that we'll talk about in that show. Lots of things you can do. Oh, thank you, Glorious Memory. Thanks for being here. So, yeah. And I'm not the end all be all of advice. I'm just, telling you from my experience and from, my 3 years of being on Whatnot as a seller, what I can tell you what does and doesn't work, But there are other factors. There are a lot of other factors, including how saturated is the category you're trying to sell in? Are the products that you're selling trendy? Are they things people want? How are you presenting it? That's a whole nother thing that we can talk about. You may have something people want, but they don't know they want it because the way you're trying to sell it is not selling it. That's a whole different thing. Hey, got no money. How are you today? Curated outpost. I haven't started yet because I'm still trying to figure out shipping. It drives me crazy. Okay, so curated. You need to screenshot this document that I just pinned. So tap that purple and black picture, tap it again, make it big, take a screenshot. And then you need to go into my show notes and take a screenshot of my YouTube channel. Okay. And then you need to go watch on my YouTube channel a show on my lives that is called Don't Sink Your Shipping. Okay. And it helps you as a new seller figure out how to set up your shipping based on what you sell. Okay. Got no money is living the dream. 5 more hours and I'm home free. There you go. That's the attitude, right? Only 5 more hours and then you're home free. Okay. All right. So yes, shipping is kind of a learning curve for everybody because this platform is a whole different beast than anything else you've ever resold on as far as shipping is concerned, because you just have no way of knowing what people are going to go buy, how much they're going to buy in any given show. And so it all comes down to setting up your shipping based on what you're selling in a show so that you are safe with how, it's going to work out in the end. And then once you sell in larger volumes, you can switch it up a little bit more to um, entice people to buy more. And then you're able to cover some of the shipping if needed. So, yeah, it just depends on what you're selling. Should I start with the second edition? Yeah, that one's the more updated one. But I would watch both, honestly. There's nothing too out of date in the first one that I did, but the second one, um, has a few more things in it, but both were good shows. And you'd probably learn a lot more just doing both, because depending on what kind of questions people asked, I showed different things. So it's not a bad idea, but I would start with the second edition first, because that's the more up to date one. And that might give you enough that you don't even need to watch the older one. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, you're used to Posh, and the way that Posh does things, they pretty much, everything's just, streamlined, and they don't really care the way they did their shipping setup. They don't really care, how much people buy. It's just all streamlined. But um, because of the way Whatnot works, it can't be as streamlined because you just have no way. Yeah, and Posh shipping is also a little bit crazy, but from the seller standpoint, it's pretty streamlined. So you don't have to do a lot of the figuring out. Whereas on Whatnot, it's a whole different beast. So, yeah. All right, I need to get going. So if everyone would just please bookmark that show on the 15th. If you like my shows, this show I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Pop in if you have questions. Make sure you screenshot show notes and the documents that are in my auction tab. Those are all the tips and trick sheets that I share. I'm going to update a few of them here pretty soon, because a couple of them need to look nicer or be reworded. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Oh, we just got raided by Lucille's Lane. Thank you for the raid. This is my seller chat. Tell me what you sell and where you came from. Were you doing a sell show or a community show? And let me tap you and check your profile. And I'm already following you. And let's see. So your shows are quilting, sewing, vintage decor, and we got a mix of a lot of different things. The 11th is another fabric show. So, yeah, I'm in that category as well. So got that bookmarked. And thank you so much. And vintage linens on the 12th. Love that. So very cool. So everybody give Lucille's Lane a follow and bookmark her shows. Thank you so much for the rate. Here is a little peek at her profile. So thanks for coming in. And her name is Courtney. So awesome. Thank you so much for that. I was actually just getting ready to wrap it up. Idaho is full, no more room. Well, that's the same for Utah, where I'm at. I feel the same way. Stop coming here. So I hear you. I feel your pain. Yeah, we have a lot of people coming from the West Coast, escaping the high prices, politics, big, ugly, nasty cities. And we're all like, stop coming. You're driving prices up. We liked our state before. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. So, Idaho and Utah, we all have that attitude right now. We still love everybody, but yeah, go somewhere else, please. So, it's kind of funny. All right. So, Rad Vintage Mama, Vintage Halloween Christmas show tonight. Oh, cool. So everybody give Rad Vintage Mama a follow and bookmark that show. Let me really quickly give you a follow and bookmark that show since you shouted out. And I'm going to tell you that you need to have more than one show scheduled. Okay. Get another show in there before you have that show this evening so that people have something to bookmark for the next time. In fact, I would have more than one, I would have several. If you already know you're going to be doing shows going forward, get them scheduled out. You can schedule up to 10 at a time. So, no reason not to have more on the schedule. So, and I like your thumbnail. It's cute. You've got some of your cute stuff in there. And I like your backdrop. So very nice. And your name is Ashley, Rad Vintage Mama. Everybody give her a follow and bookmark that show. Okay. All right. All right. I really do need to get going. So everybody have a wonderful day. I'm going to go see who we can raid into really quick. Let me just see who's out there. I'm doing a craft show today. So let me see. I'm doing crafty kind of stuff. So we'll go maybe raid into someone in craft supplies. How about let's see. Let's do I always take too long to pick someone to raid. I have a problem with that. Let's do this one, Vintage Victorian. She's selling vintage and contemporary beads. So kind of in the jewelry crafty category. So let's do that. Let me get it set up. And you guys all make it a great day. So Vintage Victorian, here we go. Thanks everyone. Have a